dual executive between the prime minister and the president. The conflicts were extremely painful and extremely costful, usually. With the monarchy, you have very clear division between the head of the state, that is the king, and the head of the government, that is the prime minister. But in any case, it is extremely important for constitution makers to try to avoid these dual executive conflicts by avoiding any possibility of saying that the president may or the president can, and using rather president must and have to. That the president would not have discretion to do something or not to do something, because that gives a lot of power that is usually destructive for the system. Thank you.
We have a very interesting debate about the form of government. Nepal is in constitution writing process, and the form of government is one of the crucial issue, and there is a deadlock is there in Constituent Assembly. In past is there, it need to be break. And I think this sort of deliberation is going to provide a lot of input in that regard. And so far as system of government is concerned, and in Nepalese context, I think we have to take into account the situation of Nepal because system of government it need to be designed according to the social compositions, setups, and things like that. And the logic was given that there are actually accountability versus stability. There are two basic components regarding this. And a country like Nepal, we make a comment that now the parliamentary system has been failed. But I think it's a very hasty comment, because I would say that a parliamentary system is not failed in Nepal, but I would say that it's not allowed to work. It was subverted. It was sabotaged. It was not, allowed to work properly. And so you cannot say that, draw a conclusion that democracy is failed in Nepal. That's why you cannot say that parliamentary system is failed. And since it is a diversity, so parliamentary system might be, since you are talking about a broad-based inclusive system. So, and one hand, so how can we say that presidential system is better? Because in president system, there is a less possibility to accommodate diversity. I think parliamentary system have tremendous capacity to accommodate diversity. It can provide a broad-based policy, inclusive. So in our context, we need to take into consideration the very situation of Nepal. And in homogeneous society, it's like United States, I think presidential system might be more beneficial, and they have a very developed, vibrant society. Civil society is very strong, media is very strong. But in country like Nepal, if you create a presidential system with enormous power and with little accountability, I think it's not going to work in country like Nepal, because we need design a political system which create more safeguard for democratic rights of the people, more checks and balance, more mechanism for accountability. And as Mr. Professor rightly mentioned, that his president is like an elected king. Even United States, people used to say that King George, something like that, to George Bush. So you have to be very careful in context of Nepal while designing a political system. And the thing is that we have a lot of political socialization with parliamentary system. We have passed through, we have our political socialization is with parliamentary system. But we need some modification, because people are fed up with this horse trading things in parliamentary system. But what we can do is that we can do some modification, like a vote of no confidence things. We can have a constructive vote of no confidence. Because in the parliamentary system, we experienced that there was a frequent change of government. And so we can check this power. Anti-defections law, we can make a strong provision for that. And so far as the dissolution is concerned, we can make a lot of safeguard into the constitution. So in our context, we have to be very careful while discussing about system of government. Thank you so much.
Okay, last comment.
And I think that experience would be very fruitful for us. What I want to make a point is, we need to distinguish between the institutional error and individual error. People who make a very sweeping judgment about Nepal, that the parliamentary system was failed, When in 1990 we started to have a full-fledged parliamentary system, within 6 years, from 1996, a Maoist movement against the parliamentary system was started. And I understand they have ideological differences with the parliamentary system. So much a problem, and with their power-hungry policies and then corruptions that created a problem, and we are blaming that problem, the individual error, individual problem with the institutional problem. And I think if we do that, then no system can be work in this country, because people are the same. And tomorrow, when we have a presidential system where there is no check and balance, that one individual going to be more corrupt, maybe more corrupt and more despoiled. So we have to distinguish that. That is the main point. And the other thing, Dinesh Tripathi has already talked about other issues of Nepalese context. So without being a prejudice, please give us the clear ideological base. What kind of a system would be more beneficial for our country? And our main issue is not a stability, but inclusiveness. When in one side you say that there are more than 101 caste and community, and you are referring a presidential system. How can that presidential system, when a person from a majority community will be elected as a president, would accommodate a vast majority of the other caste and community? So that inclusiveness should be the, which system should accommodate many people, many caste and community should be adopted by our Constituent Assembly. Thank you very much.
It has been a very fruitful session. Now we are about to conclude this session. Before concluding, I like to thank the eminent persons who have provided very important inputs in this session, especially Dr. Bob Ray, Justice Hallberg, Professor Adrisina, Professor Suresh Subedi and others, from whose inputs we have benefited a lot. Since we are in the process of making a new constitution, these inputs will be very useful for us. Of course, arguments can be forwarded both ways. In the coming days, we'll be involving in that process of debate, and finally we'll reach a conclusion. What I would like to just make a small comment is, we have an immense opportunity in the beginning of the 21st century to learn from the experiences, positive and negative, of the last 200 years of revolution and democracy in different parts of the world. Nepal has got that benefit. I think we should make maximum use of that. And rising above our ideological persuasions, we should focus on what should be best suited to the current context in Nepal. If we can do that, then we'll be able to make a one of the best constitution in the 21st century, and which will contribute to the democratic movement all over the world. So I would request friends who have joined this session to give a serious thought on this issue. We have got this good opportunity to learn from the failure of the capitalist system and the failure of the bureaucratic socialist system in the 20th century. In the beginning of the 21st century, if we, both of us learn, then I think we will be able to evolve a new form of a democratic model. But if we stick to our ideological convictions and stick to our dogmas, whether it's from the classical capitalist side or a classical bureaucratic socialist side, then this never-ending debate would lead us nowhere. So my own request is, let us learn from the positive and negative experiences of both sides and try to evolve a system which would be best suited to the needs of the 21st century. And with these comments, I would like to thank you all for your kind attention. Thank you.
Just please, just one announcement, please. We have already, actually, we are late by 30 minutes already. We are, next session will be divided, just for your kind information. Group A will be here, and that will be on restructuring of state and federal framework. Dr. Ram Saran Mahat will chair the session, and presentation will be made by Dr. George Anderson, Dr. Hasim Mohammed from Ethiopia, George Anderson from Forum of Federation, and Marcus Hanniger from SDC, Swiss Development Cooperation, is a scholar too, So this first session will be here, and the second will be, B group will be going to the other hall, close by near Regency Hall, and that will be chaired by Secretary General of the Constituent Assembly, Mr. Manohar Bhattarai, and the papers will be presented by Professor Cheryl Sounder from Australia, Professor Thin Lia In. And we'll have these two sessions immediately now, but before that, we'll have about 15 to 20 minutes break for stretching and coffee, just in the next door. Please, before we conclude, before I request that the chairperson to conclude, I must thank on behalf of the organizers, of Dr. Bhattarai for really chairing this session and sharing his thoughts at the same time. And we didn't have enough time actually for our eminent scholars to respond to the questions, which will have opportunity in the coming sessions, I believe. And I must thank to the